We are live. The Seattle Kraken have just defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs in overtime by a score of 4-3. Josh Mahura, the prolific goal scorer that he is, scores his first is a member of the Seattle Kraken to give the Kraken the win. There's a lot to talk about, Glenn. But first of all, let's just get this out of the way. This is easily the most important game this weekend between a Seattle sports team and a Toronto sports team. Would
Are
you
there
agree
even
or
any
disagree?
others?
I can't think of any. I don't
Well,
want
since
to
we
be.
already since we've already put the Toronto fans in a bad mood, why not keep them in a bad mood?
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
So I do want to be clear here. I am very much not being dismissive of the Mariners. We are all very emotionally invested, and we would sacrifice many Kraken overtime wins if the Mariners can just win tomorrow to get to the World Series. Would be great. So,
but the good news is we didn't have to.
We didn't have to. So, this was a very eventful game. I was promised low event hockey with Lane Lambert, and that is not what we're getting.
Well, I certainly didn't have Kraken offense is going to be ahead of Kraken defense early in the season. We were led to believe that the structured defensive systems were going to help this challenged offense win games. And that's not how they've been doing it, at least not on this road trip.
And it is also the power play, which has we can go into, and which kicked off this game. The power play has been really good, and which has not been the case, I think, ever in Kraken history. It's weird. It's weird to see consistency from game to game. It's weird to see an effective power play from game to game. It's weird to see such a structured team. Are these the Seattle Kraken? I don't get it.
Well, if you had asked me before the season, one of their special teams is going to be really, really good, and one of them is going to be rotten, I wouldn't have guessed that the really, really good would be the power play. I mean, on the PK, you added Ryan Lindgren, who's a penalty killing specialist, and you're talking about playing tight defensive systems anyway. So it wasn't on my bingo card that the power play would score game after game after game with the offensive personnel that we've come to know and love. But they're coming through, and this time it was Shane Wright in the first period, his 100th game. I'm sure he had a lot of friends and family in the stands. He played for the Frontenacs of Kingston and even attended Maple Leaf games on Hockey Night in Canada. Here he is playing in one and scoring on the power play. He also added an assist, and he had something like 4 shots in the game. And in overtime, he was a force.
Yeah, so let's start with the Shane Wright goal, a power play goal to start the scoring in the first period. And here we're going to pull up a little graphic here. So the thing that I really like is that how Shane Wright here at the top kind of gets lost. The defense kind of forgets about him. And then as soon as he gets the puck on his stick off the rebound, then Shane Wright scores. He's really turned it around, Glenn. I think he had been really timid and unsure of himself offensively the first 3 games of the season. Against Montreal, he did not have a single shot on goal, and he just
I'm not sure that he had a shot on goal in any of the first 3 games of the season.
I think he did, but not many. And I know he had some shot attempts and missed the net. And then on just against Ottawa and now tonight, he's really turned it around. He's much more aggressive, seems to have that mindset where he's hunting hunting space and hunting the opposition. And it has really opened up his game. It's so encouraging because Shane Wright is such a key, important part of what the Kraken are, if they're going to be successful long term. I mean, Shane Wright is one of the absolute cornerstones.
A lot of people have been down on Shane Wright. I've never been one of them. He's 21 years old, and I always thought he'll get there. I mean, look what it took him to play 100 NHL games. He's been everywhere, man. He's been everywhere. He's been to the World Juniors. He's been to Coachella Valley. He's been to the World Junior Tournament. He's been on 2 different junior teams in the same season because of COVID and because of the way the CHL major junior agreement is structured with the NHL, something that Berkeley Catton is going through too. He didn't have a home. He was a man without a home, and now he's got one. And I think the best is still yet to come from Shane Wright, and he's just showing us what that future holds.
So Shane scores, and then we get the Leafs. They respond to tie the game. The Kraken have been in these tight games all year. I think you said before the show started, you pointed out that the Kraken have not been down by more than 1 goal all year. And aside from game 1 against Anaheim, I don't think they've led by more than 1 goal.
Right. Their 3-1 win in the opener, I think that's the only time that the Kraken have even led by more than 1 goal. And at no time have they trailed. It's the Michael Corleone theory, Zane. Keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. Well, they've kept all their enemies close. And I was about to say, for the second straight game, they know how to take a lead. They don't know how to keep a lead, because they got a lead 3 different times tonight after having a lead in Montreal and not being able to keep it late in the game, and a lead in Ottawa and not being able to keep it late in the game. And they lost 3 different 1-goal leads here. But again, they stuck with it. They didn't panic. They showed the patience that we've talked about, and it paid off. One other thing, looked up Shane Wright's game logs. 0 shots against Anaheim, 0 shots against Vegas, 0 shots against Montreal, 6 shots against Ottawa, 5 shots against Toronto. So he's making up for lost time.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that he had no shots on goal in the season heading into this last game. Yeah, that's great. And, Shane Wright was also part of the zone entry that set up Yanni Newman's goal in the second period. So the Kraken were, they score first, Leafs come back to tie it. It's the end of first. And then Yanni Newman comes here. And so we get a nice little zone entry here.
This was Yanni that we have come to know and love between the circles, firing a shot that no goalie's going to stop.
It was like instant, right? The puck teleported off his stick.
It was a laser, and that's what he brings. What he also brings is, maybe he's always had this celly. This is the first time I really noticed it, but he holsters his stick as a celly. I like that.
Yeah, that's he's fun. I don't really understand why he's not getting power play time. This will probably be a recurring theme with a one-timer like that, especially with these skating concerns that they have about him, because that's the trade-off with him as a prospect, right? He was a 2nd-round pick. If he was a very underdeveloped skater with a ridiculous shot. And
when he scored his first goal, of course, it wasn't on his shot. It was because he was parked in front. And that's something else. He's a big body, so you could also have him in front on the power play.
Yeah, it's there's some versatility there. His skating, I think it's gotten much, much better, but if you're concerned about the skating, then parking him on the power play seems like the best place to put him. He has the best shot on the team other than maybe Jared McCann's. I think Newman's is maybe a little better, but it's
probably harder.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't worry about putting it over your shoulder. He'll shoot it right through you.
Yeah, I was just trying to like put it through your chest, It's like in martial arts when they're like, don't punch the opponent, punch through the opponent. That's the advice he has. The puck is like, well, if it goes through the goalie, then it still goes into the net, right?
Yeah, and maybe out the back of the net too.
Yeah. And then John Tavares ties it, and less than 2 minutes later, Vince Dunn with his goal, and we're going to look at this here. So one of the things that was happening throughout the night was that Leafs goalie Anthony Stolarz was getting bumped into. Here, Jaden Schwartz is really like getting pushed into Stolarz. You can't really see because we're using dots and head visualizations.
But oh man, this was a tough game, Zane, to be a goalie. Both of them got run into, and Marchment, ran into Stolarz, and Lindgren pushed someone into Decord, and Carlo pushed one of the Kraken on Dunn's goal, pushed one of the Kraken into Stolarz. So there was a lot of even friendly fire in this game that caused some physical contact with the goalies.
And after that, the Marchment ran into Stolarz and got a penalty for it. Stolarz was like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Like flips over the net. And he's like, and like people are piling on. And I was like, oh, geez. Like, wow, my God. He was like not having it. I think he'd already been bumped into a couple times, and he just lost it. It was, you don't usually see goalies get quite that angry.
No, he had to literally push the net off its moorings to have a clear way to get to Marchment, who was already on the ground getting mauled. I was thinking on that play too, Zane, this is part of Mason Marchment's game. It's not something you practice, and it's not something you necessarily encourage, but Mason Marchment causing havoc and getting the other team angry. Now, you don't want to draw penalties, ideally, when you do it, but that's part of the Mason Marchment experience.
Yeah. I was thinking about, and the broadcast talked about this today too, which made me feel a lot more normal. But they have Max Domi, and I always want to call him Ty Domi. It's his father.
Yeah.
And Mason Marchment reminds me a lot of Ty Domi.
Yeah.
In the way that he just really gets under the people's skin, and so I found that I always make that connection in my head. To me, Ty Domi is like the ultimate pest, and so there was like some connection there. There's also some Toronto connections. Vince Dunn is from Mississauga, right? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Mississauga. Well, Lane Lambert, the Kraken coach, last year he was an assistant on Craig Berube's staff.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And Jared McCann was a Maple Leaf for about 45 minutes during one off season. The Leafs traded McCann for McCann from Pittsburgh, not because they wanted to keep him, because they wanted to have a player to expose to the Kraken in the expansion draft. And now that McCann has become such a goal scorer, The Leafs fan base is wondering, did we keep the right player? I think they kept Alex Kerfoot instead. Yeah. And there's one other ex-Leaf that I want to talk about. That's Matt Murray. And I was sure that with Ottawa and then Toronto on this road trip, that Matt Murray, the backup goalie tonight, who has not played this season, but he played in most recently for the Maple Leafs and before that for Ottawa. So this was kind of the Canadian revenge tour for Matt Murray. And if you're going to carry 3 goalies, I would have thought put Matt Murray and give him a start against one of his old teams where, guys love to play against their old teams, and he'd have extra motivation. Now, anytime you can play Joey Decord, fine. But I would have given Matt Murray a start against one of his old teams. If he also doesn't play against the Penguins, then I'm going to go, maybe there's something Lane Lambert knows that we don't know. Well, there's a lot he knows that we don't know. But on the face of it, why carry 3 goalies if you're not going to play one of them?
Do you think maybe he's just not ready? He's injured, or maybe, I mean, who knows how they're going to manage the Grubauer and Matt Murray?
Is he there just to scare Grubauer? I don't know. If you're going to carry 3 goalies, which as injuries mount, because Freddie Gaudreau wasn't playing in this game, he's now out 4 to 6 weeks. Brandon Montour didn't play in this game for family reasons that are unspecified. There's already Capo Caco and Riker Evans who are out long term. So by carrying 3 goalies, it means you have fewer roster replacements ready. You have to call up players from Coachella Valley. Then, and if you're not going to play one of your backup goalies, then it's a head scratcher and makes less sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Kraken have never carried 3 goalies, and Lane Lambert is a new coach, so we don't know how they're going to manage the 3 goalie strategy. It is pretty interesting. We do have a back-to-back coming up, so maybe we'll see someone. We'll get a Matt Murray start there, or maybe it's just Joey and Grubauer and Matt Murray is just there in case there's an injury or something. I don't really know. I do want to highlight this comment by Koch on KG, which is the best thing through 5 games after the record is that the Kraken have played pretty much the same way through all 5 games. Consistency works. Yeah, it's so true. And the consistency is that they're going to overtime every game.
Yes. Which leads me to this. Working overtime. What a way to make a living. You could lose your mind. All saving and no scoring. All right, that's enough of that. The Kraken have played 4 straight overtime games. Someone needs to tell them they don't get paid any extra for playing overtime. It's okay for them to win in regulation, but they won against Vegas in overtime. They lost against Montreal in overtime. They lost at a shootout to Ottawa. Now they beat Toronto in overtime. And again, you mentioned Josh Mahura, and I don't think we've showed his goal yet, but while you cue that up, Josh Mahura, who is a defenseman, he has not scored in 134 games. He went 134 games between getting a goal. So again, things on your bingo card. No, a Josh Mahura overtime game winner. That wasn't on any of our bingo cards, but I do want to mention that two things had to happen in order for Josh Mahura to be the offensive hero in overtime. One of them is Joey Decord makes an unbelievable save that he could not have seen the puck coming with 4 seconds left. On a rebound, Oliver Ekman Larson shoots from a high danger area. There's a mess of traffic in front. Decord instinctively moves to where he believes the shot is going to come. And so he's in the right position for the puck to hit his pad. Maybe he saw it, but only if he has x-ray vision, I think. But still, he makes the save to keep from a dispiriting regulation defeat in the final 10 seconds. The second thing that happens that allows for Mahura to make his rush and score is that there's a pass ahead for William Nylander. He is behind the Kraken defense. The only hope is that back checking Zame's favorite, Chandler Stevenson, he back checks and his stick gets to the puck a fraction of the second ahead of Nylander, and he deflects the puck away so Nylander can't put it on goal or in goal. And what ends up happening on that sequence is Mahura ends up at the other end of the ice. Nylander, because he skated so hard on the offensive end, he doesn't have the fuel left to catch up with Mahura, because if you look at a replay of the goal, Mahura is ahead of Nylander, and Nylander just doesn't have anything left in the tank to try to stop him from going around. Now, you'll see that play, that blue guy in blue is William Nylander. So he didn't have the Jets left. And then Mahura puts it over Stolars for the game winner. But unofficial assists go to Chandler Stevenson and to Joey Decord for getting the Kraken to that point. Oh, you are muted.
Which is good because Chandler Stevenson had a play in overtime that was secretly catastrophic.
Oh,
during the first minute and a half when Toronto had possession, there was a shot and a rebound, and the puck was just sitting there. And Seattle could select possession, and Chandler Stevenson was looking at it and was like, well, it's a pretty interesting puck sitting there in front of the goal. Let me examine it and think about its implications, its place in our universe. How does it affect the Mariners tomorrow? What really is a puck when you think about it? And then Toronto collected the puck, and then they maintained possession.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I don't understand it. They just sometimes he just seems to lose all, like the controller disconnects. And then it's like, oh, well, okay, well, will someone alert Chandler Stevenson to the fact that we're still in the middle of a hockey game, or
the yin and the yang of Chandler Stevenson?
Yeah, the last game, he had something like a 25% expected goal share, and then he scores a goal, and it shot up to like 75%. And it's like, well, if he's games where he doesn't score, it's just it's really, really bad. But he's got all those empty calorie assists that he had last year, and was one of the team leaders in scoring, and
he's not currently on your MVP ballot, in other words.
No, he is currently not. But he was like kind of not the worst to start the season out. and maybe he's still trying to figure things out with the new system. But yeah, I wanted to give Chandler Stevens his flowers, but I also want to take a few away from that overtime play because I was yelling at my screen.
Zane, sometimes Chandler Stevenson is the flowers, and sometimes he's the fertilizer.
Touche.
Let's talk about a player who wasn't in this game, Berkeley Catton, because we now know what the plan was all along for Berkeley Catton. And it was for him never to lace up skates, because if you were ever going to insert Berkeley Catton in the lineup, your fourth line center, Freddie Gaudreau, goes out with an injury. You need a replacement. That's where you'd slot Berkeley Catton. If not on the wing, he'd be your fourth line center. Instead, they call up John Hayden. That's a clear indication, as if we couldn't have guessed already, that while Berkeley Catton may be practicing with the team, maybe absorbing knowledge from the team, he was never intended to play. And so the master plan, I'm pretty sure, is that NHL rules allow a conditioning stint to the American Hockey League. Berkeley Catton is a 19-year-old who has not exhausted his major junior eligibility with the Spokane Chiefs. He can't play for the Coachella Valley Firebirds, except two exceptions. One is in the playoffs. Two, he can go down for a 14-day conditioning stint. And it just so happens that the Firebird schedule is heavy with games in the next 14 days. So what I expect to happen is that he will now go down for that conditioning stint. When he comes back up in a couple of weeks, Gaudreau will still have a couple of weeks more at least before he will be ready to return to action. At that point, you slot Berkeley Catton into the lineup. You let him play his 9 games. And after those 9 games, as we look at the Firebirds schedule, you then can make a decision. Will he stay with the team? Or more likely, at that point, he goes back to the Spokane Chiefs for the rest of the season.
It's the same thing we dealt with Shane Wright, who couldn't play in Coachella Valley. And so they brought him up. They scratched him for, enough consecutive games. Then they could send him down to Coachella Valley to get that conditioning stint. I think the CHL NHL agreement is nonsense for development. I know it's good for the CHL, but these situations where you draft somebody and then Berkeley Catton's too good for Spokane. He's not going to learn anything there. But he can't play in Coachella Valley. And so they have to do this nonsense where they pull in, they scratch him, and then they put him in conditioning stint, and then he goes to the World Juniors, and then maybe they send him down to Spokane after that, it's so
it's not doing right by the player. I don't think.
It's not. It's bad for the player. It's bad for the organization. It's only good for the CHL, and that's it. And I don't think that. I hope that something changes. I don't know how much momentum or internal pressure there is to change the system, or if the CHL is just happy with the way things are. The NHL is happy with the way things are, but then it really just hurts the NHL product. Fans want to see the prospects player. They want to at least get them, developing. And, Berkeley Catton is one of those star prospects for the Kraken, and they can't even put him in the right developmental environment. How is that good for anyone?
Well, given what the rules are this year, and they are likely, not guaranteed, but likely to change starting next year. But what do you think of the Kraken strategy with Catton, given their limited options.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the way you get him to Coachella Valley. It's the only, it's the only loophole that you can. So I don't think you're costing him a ton of development time by leaving him or by not playing him in Spokane. I just don't. I think that he's just graduated from that level. So I think that the Kraken are once again making the best of a bad situation handed to them by the NHL, and this is where we are, and this is exactly what we went through with Shane Wright, and we're doing it with Berkeley Catton, and they'll do it again with Gavin McKenna next year. Probably not Gavin McKenna, but
you touched on the back-to-backs earlier, and that's relevant because the Kraken's next two games are Monday in Philadelphia and Tuesday in Washington. Last year, the Kraken, as everybody knows, 0-12 in the second half of back-to-backs. This year, because of the condensed schedule necessitated by the Olympic break in February, there will be 13 Kraken back-to-back games. This is a challenging back-to-back because the Capitals are 4 wins and 1 loss, I think, as we're sitting here talking. So I don't think we should draw too much out of however they perform in their back-to-backs. But if they do end up dropping that game on Tuesday, it'll be a topic of conversation again.
Also, just as a note, Davy Jones Locker Room's Amber Up will be at both of those games covering live. So we're excited to have our East Coast correspondent out for those games. So that's a little plug.
If that would be both games, that would be Eminem.
It would definitely be Eminem.
All right, thank you.
But not the game in Detroit, because that's a different Eminem.
Oh,
yeah,
right. You are.
Yeah. So
who once did a music video using Sergei Fedorov's wife?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. One of his videos, she's pushing kids on a swing, and then he comes and he gets to give her a big hug, and yeah, it's very heartwarming.
Is this I presume this was before the Red Wings organization severed all ties with Sergei Fedorov?
Yeah. Okay, if it's okay with you, I have just a couple of around the league notes.
Please,
and I'm gonna after each one, I got like 3 or 4, and I'm gonna pause to let you chime in if you'd like to.
All right.
So one is from this game. On a Kraken penalty kill, Ryan Lindgren lost his stick. He's a Kraken defenseman. Vince Dunn, who is also a Kraken defenseman, tapped Lindgren and said, "Here, take my stick." Now, many times I've seen a forward give a defenseman a stick, but I've never seen one defenseman give another defenseman his stick. Something was going on there, but I don't know what.
Yeah, it's a shame it wasn't a home game. I would have loved to ask if we
No kidding. We may still have to do that.
Yeah. Do you think they'll remember by the time we have a home game? No, probably not. Yeah.
Or at least they'll say they don't remember.
Yeah. That's too
okay.
bad.
The New York Rangers host the Minnesota Wild on Monday at Madison Square Garden. If the Rangers don't score in the first 7 minutes, 19 seconds of the first period, they will break a record set in 1928 by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Yes, an NHL team, not a baseball team. New York has been shut out in each of its first 3 home games this season, putting them in reach of the Pirates' record for longest home goal drought to start a season.
Sounds like they could use some scoring help. Like, whatever happened to Capo Caco? I know they drafted him, and he was like supposed to be good, and then he seems still good. I don't know whatever happened to that guy.
Even though he's on injured reserve, Capo Caco still has as many goals as all the Rangers scored at Madison Square Garden.
Do you think it's like some curse that New York, with the huge population and, you know, the rabid fan base, and like all of their teams are kind of bad? Yeah, I mean, like none of their fan bases have been happy.
No, not happy. One of the hosts on a New York sports radio station claimed that the Blue Jays must have cheated. This is real. Craig Carton on WFAN said, I don't have any evidence, but I'm sure the Blue Jays cheated because how else could they have beaten the Yankees? That's logic. Okay, enough baseball. The Utah Mammoth have introduced their mascot. Unlike the Kraken, it mimics the nickname and logo, although what it really resembles is a blue elephant head, an elephant head not getting enough oxygen that maybe needs the Heimlich maneuver. His nickname is Tusky, and the team slogan is Tusks Up, which I think is a very dangerous and potentially vulgar nickname. That's Tusky. You try saying Tusks Up and think about what that rhymes with. But I'm not going to say it.
You know, it's like a goalie, you know, they misplay the puck. Yeah, behind the net, and they score. And they're like, what happened? Like, oh man, I tusked up.
Pucked up.
Yeah, pucked up.
It's just too easy. Imagine all those sweet, clean people in Salt Lake City yelling, Tusks up. There's just a lot of potential for harm there. That's all I'm saying.
It looks kind of generic, don't you think? Or is that just me?
You know, it's just a head. You know, the rest of it, I don't know. It's no buoy, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely no buoy or
gritty. I'm telling you, it just looks like an elephant who got something caught in its throat and needs the Heimlich maneuver because it's turning blue.
Oh, yeah. Oh, goodness.
Somebody help me.
Like, oh, man, you got to take smaller bites of your steak, man. Like, you got to chew, you know?
Well, they forgot that elephants aren't carnivores to begin with.
And now poor Tusky is choking to death.
Yes. Now we know why the mammoth, you know, went extinct.
Wow. Yeah. What a bad omen. I mean, I guess if we want to make a comment about choking to death, it feels appropriate after a Maple Leafs game, but
oh, no mercy, no mercy. Okay, I'm out of notes.
I don't have a whole lot else other than you know, tomorrow the Mariners play Josh Naylor, first baseman, also from Mississauga, and that the Kraken did come into the game. They walked up, and you know, this year now they've relaxed the rules on what you can wear, what the players can wear. They can wear whatever, and they all showed up in Mariners jerseys. And I think I don't know what the plan, what the travel plans are. I think I can look up.
Could the Kraken
they planning on
be at the game tomorrow?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, they don't give us the travel schedule if it's on the road, but Sunday is a team day off. So I think it seems likely, unless the Mariners game finishes too late, because they have a 10 or 11:30 morning skate. But
cancel it, Lane. Cancel that morning skate. They won tonight.
Yeah.
And here's one other thing. If the Kraken are there, I know Jordan Eberle is thrown out a first pitch. If the Mariners are in need of an extra right-handed arm out of the pen, I'm sure Eberle could give them an inning or two.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't have I was going to make a comment about the Mariners bullpen, but I think their pitching's actually pretty good. So, yeah, it's neat. It's neat to see the cross sport, support. One of the ALDS games, the Kraken, they just bought tickets and sat in like the nosebleed seats. Scott from Cheap Seat Sports, his YouTube channel, he was at the game and he's like, man, that guy there looks like Jamie Alexiak. He's pretty tall, but why would Jamie Alexiak be in the nosebleed? So that can't be him. It turns out it was. And then the next game they got a suite, I think, provided by the Mariners. So, but I mean, they were just like, hey, we just want to go to a baseball game, and they just went without being invited or anything. So it is real. It is legitimate. They really do support Seattle sports. I know Jordan Everly specifically. He's just like a real big support the local team kind of guy, and that's pervasive, I think, throughout the organization. So it's really cool. The Mariners are the Seattle sports story, and this year, and seeing the cross sport promotion, and then also the Kraken just happened to be in Toronto at the same time is it's neat. And what a time for Seattle sports. The Seahawks are winning, the Kraken are winning, the Mariners are one game away from the World Series.
And then once the Mariners are done, whenever that is, people will turn and look at the Kraken and go, what? They were 3-0-2 in their first 5 games. They earned a point in every one of their first 5 games and counting to start the season. Wow. All those slow starts the Kraken have had, not this year.
It's a functional 4-1. And you just far exceeding expectations. It's only 5 games in. It's a long season. Things can happen. But I think we all had pretty low expectations of the Kraken heading into the season, and they've just played far better than
almost across the board, Zane. The pundits who call themselves pundits placed the Kraken 28th or 29th in the league before the season.
I mean, I don't think that was an unreasonable take. I think that the Kraken are exceeding expectations, and we can talk about, the importance of coaching. Lane Lambert's been a little bit of a revelation and really has this team playing in a way that is consistent and hopefully sustainable.
So this was just, the last 2 seasons were just a rope-a-dope.
I mean, I think about this, and I look at this roster and the way they're playing, and then I get mad. It's like, it's like when you're you break up with an ex, and then they change, and and they've gone to therapy, and they've sobered up, and they've gotten their life together, and you're like, why couldn't you have done this under when we were dating? You see the players, and they're playing with such discipline and protecting the net front. And, and it's like, these are the same players that we've seen for the last 2 years. Where was this coaching before Hackstall and, but certainly Bylsma? I mean, I understand that there's a trade-off, that the Kraken are going to not generate as much offense by prioritizing defense, right? That's the balance. But, I mean, clearly the offense is doing just fine. And overall, the 200 feet, it's a consistent, more detail oriented team in a way that we haven't seen. Even the year the Kraken made the playoffs, they mostly got there by really high shooting percentage and unsustainable things. This feels a lot more sustainable, assuming that it doesn't burn them out in terms of energy expenditure.
Well, I'll just say, just as I will not get the noose ready for Lane Lambert if things don't go well, because there's only so much a coach can do, I'm not ready to anoint him Annie Sullivan, the miracle worker. Not yet, because this Kraken team also takes bad penalties like they did in the third period in this game, back-to-back penalties. Their penalty kill is not good. There are still holes in the team. So I don't want to give too much weight to the coach, either for how they're playing now, and you won't hear me lambasting him most likely if they go on a 6-game losing streak. Part of this has to be the players just knowing internally that they were not performing at their best and not giving their best efforts, and knowing that as professionals, they needed to hold themselves accountable in ways that inexplicably they didn't do last year. But whatever the reason, who cares? They've won 3 games. They've won 2 in overtime. It's been entertaining hockey. They're scoring goals. Let's enjoy the ride.
Haven't lost in regulation.
That's right.
So I have a very important question for you, Glenn. Let's say that they do go on a 6-game losing streak and you do feel like criticizing them. Is it lambasting or is it lambursting?
It's lane lambasting.
Okay.
It's
important.
The reason I won't do that is because Lane Lambert, along with the other coach tonight, Craig Berube, and maybe Rick Tocchet, the 3 coaches I would most not want unhappy with me.
Yeah, that's a pretty good list of people you don't want unhappy with you.
They look like they wouldn't need to say anything to me. They would just need to look like they look.
Yeah.
And I'd be a puddle.
All right. I think that's all we got.
Okay.
So, thank you so much for those who stopped by. And if you could like and subscribe, it would be really great. It's helps as we're getting the channel started. Really helps us out, especially it's getting to that 1,000 subscriber mark is a huge milestone that unlocks a bunch of things that then we can further do. And so we're gonna keep doing this every Saturday. And
Saturday YouTube, but after the Flyers game Monday will be on Instagram, right?
Yeah, so we're still doing so quick, 3-minute recaps and putting those on Instagram and social media, and we'll also get those up on YouTube.
Oh, and, YouTube Shorts, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, check us out. It's at Davy Jones LR everywhere on socials. And thank you so much for stopping by again. Go Kraken, go Mariners, and we'll see you next Saturday.